listening to CLNS Media, powered by betonline.ag. Go to clnsmedia.com/roll. Use our promo code CLNS50 for 50% off your first deposit.
Back with another episode of the Causeway Street Podcast. Joseph Pavone here alongside Sean Dutra. We got Joel Pavone calling in from the campsite of somewhere in New Hampshire. I'm not exactly sure where Joel is as we speak.
It's like an episode of Hostel.
Maybe I hope not. Maybe he'll fill us in when he joins us in a few minutes here. But man, let me tell you, man, Danny Ainge, boy, does this dude know how to maximize opportunities here, man. Generating cap space via sign and trade to bring in Kemba Walker, sends away Terry Rozier, brings in Enes Kanter for what I call the Aaron Baines contract, essentially.
It was cheap.
And we were talking last week how that's going to be at least 10, 11 million a year. No, 10 million for 2 years. I love it. Love the deal. I know we weren't so high on Enes Kanter, but for 5 million for 1 year,
yeah,
you take that, right, Sean?
Yeah, sure.
So we'll get more into that, okay? We'll get more into Sean's reaction to that. We'll also discuss, Sean, you got to make your final plea, all right? This is the episode where you do it. DeMarcus Cousins, okay?
I'm telling you, man, it's got to happen.
If there was ever an opportunity for the Celtics to acquire DeMarcus Cousins, it is right now. It is now or never.
Mm-hmm.
The veteran's minimum.
Sure
that's the only option at this point.
And it seems like there's no market for him, so, if Danny wants him.
That's right. That's right.
Him.
If Danny wants him, this is the time to get him. And Woj put that report out there. No market for DeMarcus Cousins right now. He is still a free agent with no reports of where he's going.
I don't know. It seems like, if you guys have been listening to the Causeway Street Podcast, for any amount of time at all.
It's been 6 years you've been talking about this.
Yeah.
Almost 6 years.
Yeah, pretty much 6 years. 6 years I've
Since
been
we started
making the
this
same
podcast.
fucking plea. Sign Boogie Cousins. Trade for Boogie Cousins. Nope. Oh, you get nope. Not to the Celtics. Mid-level exception? Nah, not for the Celtics.
Chill. Nope.
Nah, we're good. We're good.
Not for DeMarcus Cousins.
Nah, we're good. We'd rather have fucking Daniel Tice. Great.
He's coming back for 2 more years.
Either way, this is the last time I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna take a little bit of Tim's advice. I'm not gonna say no more about it, man. I made my plea on Twitter today. Tweeted at Boogie. Tweeted at Danny. Make it happen. Make me a happy guy.
I think you planted a seed with those two. I think that tweet might have done it. I think it's gonna be.
I will take credit if it happens.
They're thinking about that tweet now.
And if it fucking happens, the next episode of the Causeway Street Podcast.
Oh, it's a party, huh?
Will be the most lit episode of the Causeway Street Podcast. Joel's going to hate me by the end of it, man. He's going to hate me. If Joel comes in and starts going, this is a bad signing, it's not going to fit, man. I'm probably going to knock him out.
It's going to be it's going to be some furniture moving.
It could be the last episode of the Causeway Street Podcast at the same time.
It could make or break the Causeway Street Podcast.
But other than that, the Celtics moves up to this point.
Yo, I like this squad.
I like the squad too, man.
I'm all in on this squad because you know what? No one is putting these high expectations for this team to come out of the East, right? Also, you have a group of guys who essentially there's no okay, I'm the superstar of this team or, this is my team. We talked about it a little bit last episode about how Kemba Walker and Jason Tatum, at least in my opinion, it's like 1A and 1B in terms of quote unquote whose team this is. But you know what? I don't even think that's the case with these guys. I don't think that should be the mindset if you're Brad Stevens with this group because I think so much talent is here in a sense of potential, whether we're talking about Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, even Kemba Walker. I know Kemba Walker is approaching 30 sooner than the other two that I just mentioned, but I just feel like they have all three of those guys essentially, and of course Gordon Hayward, who I think is the most important in the sense of how far this team goes. I think they all have so much to prove, but without all that pressure that they had a year ago.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've said it time and time again. Well, I've said it, and I think everyone's sort of come around to it now. Addition by subtraction with Kyrie Irving. You're allowing this team to grow. You're allowing now Tatum to spread his wings. Kemba's going to be a great fit on this team. There's if anyone out there, and I heard people on the radio today, which is which is absolute bullshit. But if anyone out there thinks that Kemba's not going to be a great fit on this team, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. He's a guy that can score the basketball, which at times we found last year and the year before that. What was the biggest knock on the team when Kyrie went out? Who's going to score the ball, right? You have a prolific scoring guard that isn't a head case. You know what I mean? It's like that. That's exactly what this team needs. So you can have him carry the team at times. He'll be okay with Gordon Hayward carrying the team at times. He'll be okay with Tatum or Brown or whoever's on that young core carrying the team. There's not any clash of personalities that I see. I think Enes Kanter, for what he lacks on defense, he brings in team chemistry. He's a great locker room guy.
I
from
can
everything
see him
that I've
just
heard.
getting along with all those guys. I like that personality aspect of that of that signing.
And he can score on the offensive end too. So, I mean, and rebound. I mean, let's not forget this team can't rebound neither.
Yep. That's right.
And you lose Al, who was our best rebounder, and you gain actually a better rebounder.
That's right.
And a better offensive rebounder, definitely, too.
That's one thing he does better than Al Horford. I mean, he's not Al Horford. You're not going to get the same kind of production on both ends of the floor that you saw from Al.
You won't.
But from a rebounding aspect, which is the Celtics have never been a really good rebounding team, even dating back to those years of Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. But I think that it can make a huge difference for this team in terms of for second chance opportunities, for momentum. I mean, you look at how many teams in the NBA are able to capitalize on their top rebounder. When's the last time we saw a Celtics player who averaged double digits in rebounds? It's been a long time.
Kevin Garnett.
That's it. And Kevin Garnett averaged double digits the year before he became a Celtic. So we're talking about
Eric
12
Williams, maybe?
years ago. I can't believe that even happened 12 years. I can't believe it's been 12 years since Kevin Garnett first signed with the Celtics. Like, that's how long it's been.
World is fucked.
I know, for real. That's how I feel.
I feel like I mean, I don't even know. Even in those scrappy teams where you had like Eric Williams getting boards, he never averaged double digits.
No,
like,
I think Tony Batiste was the best
Tony
rebounder.
Batiste was like 7.
He was pulling down like 7 boards a night.
I mean, maybe. Right? Did Rafe? No.
No chance.
Yeah, we probably. Trivia question for all you Celtics fans out there.
Yeah, get back to us.
Come on, look it up. Who's the last guy to average? If I should be like someone last year, man, we're just fucking stupid. It's like Aaron Baines averaged
Greg
14
Monroe,
rebounds.
bro. He averaged 9 rebounds last year. No. But you know what, man? You look at what Kemba Walker's been doing already, already in the city, already talking to fans, already at the Auerbach Center. One day after the agreement, Monday, he's spending the day in Boston. And, of course, his article on the Players Tribune, man, talk about a guy who's already fallen into the hearts of these Celtics fans, man. Not only does he talk about what he plans to do in Boston and what kind of leader he's going to be, he's taking shots at Kyrie Irving, okay? So what a way to win these fans over from the moment you agreed to sign with the Celtics. Taking shots at Kyrie, direct shots too, okay? He might as well have been like, you know what, guys, I'm not going to promise to go off in the playoffs and not do it. I'm not going to, complain about everything that has to do with the organization. I'm not going to give props to the opposing head coach after they beat us. Like, he might as well just gone down the list of things that Kyrie did that pissed off Celtics
The only
fans.
thing I was looking for was him to be like, I also love Thanksgiving. I would have been all over that, man.
The earth is not flat.
It's round, and Thanksgiving is the best holiday.
Like, come on. I'm never going to shout out anyone off the court or get overly negative. Like, that's a direct shot. That's not even, like, close to being like, maybe he was talking about Kyrie. No,
he was talking about
talking
Kyrie.
directly about Kyrie, and he's telling you, hey, Celtics fans, I was watching from afar. I saw how shit went down last season.
Yeah, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why he came here.
Definitely.
Like, I think
100% because he believes in the rest of the team.
I think he sees it as, wow, how the fuck did Kyrie screw that situation
How'd you fuck that up? Exactly.
You guys had the
That's
best
exactly
team in
what
the
he's
league,
thinking.
and
Right.
you mean I can go from the Hornets to there? You kidding me? That's easy.
I mean, minus Al Horford, but the rest of the guys are still intact. The rest of the roster is still intact.
Yep.
Sign me up. I can't wait for this challenge.
If you had talked about this team last year with Kyrie with no Al, you still would have thought it was a championship contender.
Absolutely. Well, before the start of the season.
Before the start of the season.
Exactly, yeah.
You're looking at the same thing now, pretty much. Look, you got to work on the depth. But that's it.
I mean,
The depth was a problem last year, though.
Kawhi's a big question mark, though. That's the thing. And in my opinion, I'm not quite sure this team is better than the Bucks. I know they lost Malcolm Brogdon, but that team is still dominant because they have Giannis Antetokounmpo, which the player you call the best player in the NBA. So.
Yeah, but I think so. So let's get into it.
Oh, next to Kawhi. I don't know. I don't know where you are in that conversation anymore. After you and Tim went at it last episode, I don't even know where you fall in this conversation. I think it's 1A and 1B.
It's always 1A and 1B
between Kawhi and Giannis for the best player in the NBA.
One right now. Giannis is 1A. All right.
Okay.
Kawhi's number 1.
MVP, Finals MVP, and League MVP.
Yeah. And that tells me I was fucking right, by the way, because they both won MVPs this year. So whoever you had wasn't the best player in their top 25. Just want to put that out there.
So this team can be the best team in the East. That's what you're telling me. They can come out of the East.
Let me.
I'm not sold on it, man. I'm getting there. I'm warming up to this team.
Okay.
And obviously it's still way too early, but I like where this team is going.
So as you know, I am a firm believer in Jason Tatum. I know some people aren't as high on Jason Tatum as I am, but I truly think he's going to be a top 10 player in the East this year.
This year?
In the East.
Wow.
I mean,
that would put the Celtics in a really good position to come out of the East.
He will be an all-star. I think he will be an all-star this year. I think he's going to make that leap. Now, I have a lot of faith in that. Now, I get it if people are tentative because they want to see it happen first. But looking at the way he plays and looking at how last year and how everything got to him, and to be honest, you can't put too much of that on Tatum just because sophomore slump, that's a big thing. That's a hard thing to fight off on a team where you're relied upon to be the number one scorer, or you're relied upon, but especially when you have such a dysfunctional group like it was last year, how is he supposed to make that leap in year 2?
Well, even before the dysfunction unfolded, I feel like the pressure alone of having to come out of the East, of now Kyrie is healthy, now Hayward is healthy, I think that also played a part as well.
Yeah, I do. I think he had to fight. Feel like he had to fight for minutes, had to prove himself. A lot of it happened. I think you're going to see a gigantic leap. So if I'm right, which I feel like I should be, then you're going to have Kemba and Jason Tatum leading a team that not far behind them, you're carrying Jaylen Brown and Gordon Hayward, who, arguably you're going to start ranking players midway through the season. You could have 4 of the top 25 players in the Eastern Conference right there, hands down. I think like the East is where they can make the leaps and bounds. So I have them as a lock to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think there's still a lot to. It's going to be a lot to say they could beat the Bucks at this point, but I want to see how that loss of Brogdon is going to be for them. I want to see how the loss of Mirotic is going to be for them. They didn't really do much to replace them. Giannis played his first season where he went deep into the playoffs. A lot of question marks up in Milwaukee. They didn't get much better. So we'll see. But I think that the Celtics are a lock for the Eastern Conference Finals, man.
They're a lock? You're saying that already. I don't know,
yep.
man.
Lock it in. Lock it in. Boogie comes, NBA Finals, man.
Well, this is what I feel about Jason Tatum, okay? Because if you look at the track records of other perennial All-Stars in the past, other top 10 guys like you say he's going to be, right? In the past, this is the year this is the year it happens.
We've talked about that. And I think that coupled with the sheer offensive firepower this team has in their starting lineup, I don't see how. Granted, it's going to be tough to slow down Giannis. What team in the league is going to be able to keep up with this many offensive studs? Like from 1 through 5, you got everybody from 1 through 5 can score the ball and score the ball proficiently. How are they going to keep up with that? That's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah, but how many points you giving up though? That's the thing, man. Al Horford on the defensive end is a big loss. And we'll get to him in a little bit, too. We'll talk about what that means for Philly. I mean, all of a sudden, Philly's gotten better. You can't look at what happened with Al Horford going there and say that team hasn't gotten better.
Nope.
They're better now.
I'll say that right now.
They're a better squad right now.
No, they're not.
Yes, they 100% are. Why? Because they lost J.J. Redick?
No, they lost. So hear me out. The exact thing that I said about the Celtics 1 second ago is the exact opposite for the 76ers. Who the hell is going to score on that team?
The same way they've been scoring. It's a well-balanced attack.
Jimmy Butler and J.J. Redick were their two best offensive players in the playoffs last year.
In the playoffs, that's true. But then you look
when
at
it counted.
Yeah, but you knew they were going to choose between Butler and Tobias Harris. Now, Tobias Harris, don't sleep on Tobias Harris, man. This guy, do you remember what he did last year in the beginning of the season? If he can sustain that all year long, he can. That's a very scary team alongside Joel Embiid, of course, barring any injuries. And then now you have Al Horford, who's sort of your playmaker, your point forward, who can not only get you buckets, but can get you stops on the other end.
That team's going to average 80 points a game.
You're crazy.
How are you think Al Horford's not an upgrade on the offensive end?
Opponents are going to average like 90 points against that team.
What?
That team has gotten very better defensively.
Sure, but they can't score. And I don't think you can trust Tobias Harris. How much do they pay that guy?
A lot.
A lot. Is he a number one player? Is he? No, he's a number 3 on a contender. I don't think he's a number 3 on a championship squad. That team lost a great player in Jimmy Butler, an excellent top 5 shooter in the league in J.J. Redick, and replaced it with Al Horford. It seems like they're playing like if this was the 90s, bro, they'd be dope. But they can't keep up in today's
crazy,
NBA with
man.
this lineup.
See, Sean,
I was huge on the Sixers last year.
You sound like what a lot of Celtics fans are going to sound like throughout the course of the next season. All of a sudden, Al's not going to be as important. All of a sudden,
Al's important.
The hypocrisy of Celtics fans when it comes to Al Horford is going to be hilarious all year long about how you guys paid $100 million for this dude and he's not worth it. Oh, he's overrated. Oh, he's average. Look at his numbers. No, man. When it comes down to it, the intangibles, what he did for the Celtics the last 3 years. I mean, the Celtics don't make 2 appearances in the Eastern Conference Finals without Al Horford. Put it that way. To put it bluntly, I guess.
They also don't make 2 appearances without Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas is only responsible for 1, but I get what you're saying. I mean, without a scorer, I guess what you're saying, without a top guy.
I think that Al fit the Celtics system very well. Now, if they use Al the same way they used him in Boston, yeah, I think it will make a difference down there. Now, if they expect him to score, if they rely on him, like I think that Boston was other than Lou Merlone, I think Boston could understand what his value was, right? Now, we also paid him $30 million from age 29, 30, and 31, right?
The best years of his career.
They're paying him $25 million for age 32, 33, 34, or whatever it is, right?
Yeah. 33 to 37.
There's going to be a lot more scrutiny on that contract. There's going to be a lot more pressure for him to perform on the offensive end. The intangibles at that point, if they're not with him, man, that's not going to cut it on that team.
Were you surprised by that?
That he went to Philly?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I see that shit coming.
What surprised you the most about free agency?
The biggest shocker?
Yeah.
Durant.
Yes. Yo,
Durant.
Me too.
Yeah, Durant definitely. Durant because
how the hell did Kyrie Irving convince him to go to Brooklyn?
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
It just doesn't make it. I guess I get it, but like that shit was so tampered with. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. And you know what? Something else I started thinking about today, and this is sort of going back to just shitting on Kyrie. By the way, we should make "fuck Kyrie" T-shirts and see how many we can sell. I think that'd be a great seller.
That would be a huge seller in this city. Are you kidding me?
Like
the most hated athlete in Boston. Yeah,
why haven't I seen "fuck Kyrie"?
I
T-shirts?
think the "fuck Kyrie" shirts will be right up there. If not, well, we have to wait a couple more years to see how much the hatred builds up in terms of how good the Nets are going to be. But if we're putting "fuck Kyrie" shirts neck and neck with Jeter sucks.
Yep.
Like Kyrie could beat out Derek Jeter in terms of Boston sports swag.
I think we should
anti-New York swag.
I think we're in the middle of printing those Causeway Street shirts. Fuck that. Just make "fuck Kyrie" shirts, man. Put Causeway Street logo on the front. Fuck Kyrie on the back. It's done.
I think you're going to make a couple phone calls after you get off this podcast.
Let's do it. Make some money. Okay, so
I just can't believe he convinced him, man. And not for nothing, too, man. Like, let's just say hypothetically 5 years from now, those two win a championship, right? Durant comes back, all is well. He's close to who he used to be, and they win it all. Okay, Kyrie, you won championships with two of the greatest basketball players of our generation.
Yep.
Sweet.
2 of the top 3.
Like, you made this huge fuss about wanting to get out of LeBron's shadow. You want it to be the guy, and you're going to do it for 2 years, one in
feel like-
Boston, one in Brooklyn, and then Durant comes right back and saves the day?
He's orchestrating it. Maybe that's what he feels like. I don't know. Hey, so by my Kyrie point, so this is my big thing.
I think I would respect him more if he went to Brooklyn by himself. But
Do you think...
then again, Brooklyn might not even wanted him by himself.
I'm going to get really weird right now, but I started to think about it today when I was driving home. Do you think that last year was a social experiment by Kyrie?
No, I think he was all in. I just think he didn't like
Listen,
anything about the city, though.
think about it now. What he said at the beginning of the year. If y'all will have me back...
Or you think he was trying to
I
butter
plan
up
on resigning here.
the fans and the media?
No. I think what he was doing is legit seeing... I think once he said that, he was like, my goal this year is that Boston won't have me back. So I can get out and do what I want to do. Everything that he did, the childish moves, he knew was going to rub Boston the wrong way, especially. By the end of the year, after all the shit that he did in the playoffs, and he's failed at the playoffs, which looks like he wasn't even trying in the playoffs.
The last game, I give him that. I got to watch the tape, I guess. But
What was legit everyone in Boston saying?
Screw Kyrie.
We don't want fucking Kyrie back.
Yeah.
He won. That's what he did everything this year to make it so that he could look back on that statement and be like, you guys didn't want me back, man. You know what I mean?
I said that at the beginning of the year.
I said, if you guys want me back.
Yeah, but why make the Nike commercial? Why
Yo,
talk about, I want to be the
it's a
only Celtic to wear, the last
experiment.
one to wear number 11.
He's a fucking maniac. He literally took Boston and used us as pawns. Used all the sports fans, all the media, Danny Ainge, used them as pawns to say, hey, let's see how fucked up the human mind can be when you fucking stupid fucking Kyrie bullshit. Like, it hit me today. He fucking
That would be a Kyrie thing.
He did that as an experiment last year.
Nah,
that was,
man.
and he literally proved his theory right. If he would have just said, yeah, man, I'm resigning here next year, okay, fine, because you're an NBA perennial all-star superstar, what team wouldn't want you back? When he said that, I was like, why wouldn't we fucking want you back? Yeah, of course. But in his mind, I think he was thinking, I'm going to fuck this shit up.
No, I think he got scared. That's what I think. I think he realized that the challenge was going to be harder than he thought. And then with the team and the young guys, he didn't mesh with the team and the young guys. They weren't going anywhere. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum weren't getting traded anytime soon. He wasn't a big fan of the coach. Almost never gave props to Brad Stevens. I think he's complimented him once throughout the year. Wasn't a fan of the media, and was just like, I need to get out of here. And you know what? If he really cared about bringing a championship to this city, he would have stayed. But I think what Kyrie is afraid of is failing. Kyrie's afraid of, in the end, he doesn't deliver, and everyone's is upset, and all of a sudden he's the guy who couldn't get it done. And how many more opportunities would he have to go to a team like Brooklyn and play with someone like Durant? You know what I mean? Like, I just think he was scared to fail, and he knew that if he failed, he would go down in history in this city as, what's the list of guys? The Carl Crawfords or the
Pablo
Pablo
Sandoval,
Sandovals.
Adelius Thomas. Kyrie failed.
This episode of the Causeway Street Podcast is brought to you by betonline.ag. Right now, when you head over to clnsmedia.com/causeway, you can sign up for betonline.ag, your go-to website for online betting. You enter the promo code CLNS50, and you'll get a 50% cash back bonus on your first deposit when you bet online with betonline.ag. Right now, betonline.ag has plenty of opportunities for you to win money, including a collection of prop bets where you can really come up big. One of them actually has to do with Zion Williamson, Sean. I would love to hear your take on this. BetOnline.ag right now has him averaging 18 points per game throughout his rookie season. You can take that bet right now and win big when you bet online with BetOnline.ag. Yeah, which side of that bet you taking, Sean?
Hammer the under. Hammer the under.
Yeah?
Yeah, man.
By a lot?
By a lot.
Oh, boy.
I'm thinking 13 to 12 for Zion rookie year.
Either way, you can win some money right now. Head over to clnsmedia.com/causeway. That's clnsmedia.com/causeway. A minimum deposit of $25 is required to qualify for the bonus. You enter the promo code CLNS50. You'll get a 50% cashback bonus on that $25 deposit. Please see BetOnline's general rules for additional terms and conditions regarding the bonuses.
Another thing that did surprise me. First off, let's talk about two crazy things that happened in free agency. The two biggest things that I took away from free agency. First off, we talked about the Knicks, so this is technically number 2 and number 3. Let's talk about the Nets, right? The second biggest thing, the fuck is going on in New York? The Knicks.
Come on, man. They got Julius Randle, man. Julius Randle about to come up.
I think
I told you he's going to New York.
I
called it.
So I think that everyone's overreacting there.
What do you mean overreacted?
I think they're going to be fine. I think the Knicks are going to be at the playoffs this year.
And bow out in the first round. They're tired of that, Sean.
They probably will. They probably will. But I think, like, you got Julius Randle. You have R.J. Barrett. You have Kevin Knox. You added a bunch
You love Kevin Knox.
of veterans. I do love Kevin Knox.
Good player.
You had a bunch of veterans. Locker room guys. And you have Dennis Smith Jr. and Frank Nikola Tucker, whatever the hell the guy's name is. Point guard, passing point guard, scoring point guard. You got a guy that can score now. You got 2 young wings. You got some veteran presence. And they're not gonna change the world there, but they have something good going. Like, they're still gonna fuck this shit up though. You know they are.
They always do.
They always do. But I just think that everyone's saying like, oh yeah, the Knicks had high hopes. Great. So did a lot of teams. They didn't end up that bad. They're not. I actually applaud the Knicks because if you look at this Kawhi sweepstakes, guess who's fucked? Out of the 3 teams he could go to, the Lakers are going to be okay. If he goes to the Lakers, though, Toronto and the darling Clippers are fucked. All the free agents are gone. Kawhi literally is destroying either 1 or 2 franchises just by waiting. And all the free agents are gone now. Like, the Clippers can't build a team now. Literally, what are they going to do?
Who's left?
No one. Like, what are they going to do? Like, if Kawhi doesn't go to the Clippers.
See, that's why him and Kyrie should have teamed up with the Clippers
man.
and Doc. That's what I wanted to see happen.
Yeah, I just think
That's out of the question now.
This free agency has been pretty wild.
It's crazy, man. Yeah. All right, Joel joins us here on the Causeway Street podcast. What's going on, Joel, man? Where are you, man? What part of New Hampshire are you? You by the water or something? You in the woods?
I am in the middle of nowhere, bunch of mountains, and not a single soul other than me and my family. No, I'm kidding. I'm in fucking New Hampshire. No, not that far from you guys.
Are you at the hotel where The Shining was filmed?
I passed by there.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, it just got really dark and just started raining. And then after we passed it, good like 2 minutes later, sunny again. The good thing is, it's like when it's been hot, but it's not humid. So it's whatever the temperature is, that's what it is. It doesn't feel hotter or it's not like that muggy heat. None of that. It's just been nice.
Yeah, man.
Nice
that's how weather works, bro.
I mean, that's how it's been over here too. But it's about to get really muggy soon.
Guys, we're in one state up. We're having the same weather. What the fuck are we talking about? Just because Joel's outside, the weather isn't different. Like, he's just sitting outside. That's it.
Well, how's your Wi-Fi service been? Because there's a lot going on in the NBA, man. I'm sure you've been up to date with everything. I mean, what's been the most surprising free agent signing in your opinion that you've seen the last couple of days?
In the NBA or just Celtics wise?
Yeah, of course, man. Not just Celtics, just in general.
In general, I think Julius Randle going to the Knicks. That's quite a shocker. I gotta say, I didn't think anybody would go to the Knicks. Huh. Never mind Julius Randle. No, I'm just kidding.
That was the only prediction I got right.
Yeah, Sway was 0 for 18. Other than that one last time.
1 for 7 or something like that.
That was bad.
We got to about 7 before Sean and Tim started screaming about Beverly and Marcus Smart. But yeah, we got about 7 or 8 free agents, maybe something like that.
No, I'll say that Jimmy Butler to the Miami thing. That literally came out of left field.
That's true.
I just feel like Jimmy Butler, he's really full of himself, and he's like, nope, don't want to play with young guys. Don't want to be, second or the third scoring option. I want to be the man, even if it's on a shitty team. I'm gonna get paid, and I'm gonna be the guy. That's what he wants. That's what he wants. But he's just not. He just doesn't have the guy talent, in my opinion.
I think he's gonna be all right, and I think he's gonna be fine in Miami.
alongside who? Deion Waiters?
No, just doing his whole Chicago Bulls thing.
Nah, Miami's.
Look at him on the Bulls. Look at him on the Bulls. He brought him to the playoffs pretty much.
Yeah, but he's not the guy. He's not the guy. He could have done something. He could have done something really, really special in Philly. Not that Philly got worse. Well, I think Philly's pretty good right now.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Sean and I got into a conversation about Philly, and that's the biggest reason why he doesn't think that they can come out of the East this year, or at least they don't have a shot, is because they lost Jimmy Butler. I think this team got better because now they have Al Horford. I think defensively, all of a sudden, this team in the East can pretty much stop anyone, in their tracks. That defensive tandem of Al Horford and Joel Embiid, I think, is going to make it's going to prevent teams from scoring 100 points a lot throughout the course of the regular season.
Yeah, and they're going to average 78 points a night.
No,
they just went down 2 points from my last prediction.
See, Sean thinks that they want Al Horford to be like a 25-point scorer, which is obviously not the case in my opinion.
Joel, tell me who they will rely on to score the basketball.
Well, yeah. I mean, Sean has a point. I mean, they're not gonna score 78 points, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because it's not 1992.
They have a team. They have a team that would thrive in 1984.
No, I think they got better shooting wise. I mean, Al Horford. We've seen Al the last 3 years, and his name escapes me at the moment. The one that was part of the sign and trade that's coming over from Miami. It's a good 3-point shooter as well. Pretty much, you lost one shooter, but they gained two more shooters, and pretty much what I'm getting at. So they'll have their offense, and and Joel Embiid, he's going to get better. Joking aside, with all the crying facing that we've seen, in the last month or so, he is going to get better offensively, and that includes shooting better from the outside as well. So,
sure. So your two best shooters,
Josh Richardson, by the way, Joel.
Thank you.
And he can't really shoot neither. He's sort of a slasher scorer.
You had a pretty good shooting year last year, though.
All right.
Yes.
Your two best 3-point shooters are 6'10" and 7 feet tall. That's a recipe. That's a recipe for success.
They did re-sign Tobias Harris. We forgot about Tobias. Tobias is not a shooter. He's not a scorer.
No, thank you, man.
But you can't trust.
See, Sean forgets what Tobias Harris did last year, especially throughout the first couple of 2-3 months. He was one of the best scorers in the NBA.
Sure, and then he flamed out like he does every single year. Tobias Harris is great, borderline great, for 2 months of a season, and then he reverts to about a 15 to 18 point score, which fine. I get that's not bad, but it's not. You don't have somebody on the team like. I'm sorry, like Ben Simmons is your second best player, and he's going to average about 10 points a game. Joel Embiid can average 35 points a game, and they're still not going to score over 70 points next year.
But this is the same. These are the same two guys that you just mentioned that you said were finals contenders, and you lose Jimmy Butler, an injury prone, semi superstar. That now you're going to give more shots to Tobias Harris, and you have Al Horford, who's going to do what Al Horford does. So I think and looking at the team as a whole, I think they got better defensively, and they have shooters now, and they're not done. They're going to keep signing more low key free agents that will help them along the way.
From last year's team, the reason why I was so high on them last year was because of Jimmy Butler. Joel Embiid, obviously. Joel Embiid's like the second best center in the league behind Anthony Davis. Easy. Ben Simmons can play a role. But for that team to be successful, you need scorers, and you need lights out scorers that can take over when it matters. Now, say what you want about Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's that guy. Jimmy Butler likes to take over the game at the end of the game. All right, and you saw it in the playoffs. He was their best scorer in the playoffs. Him and J.J. Redick were their two best offensive players consistently throughout the playoffs.
That's false. Joel Embiid was way better than Jimmy Butler. If it wasn't for Joel Embiid, they wouldn't have been even in that Game 7 against Toronto.
Joel Embiid was streaky during the playoffs.
Yeah, he was streaky during the playoffs.
I'm saying consistently, Jimmy Butler was the better player. And Jimmy Butler was the best player on that Philadelphia 76ers team throughout the entire playoffs. Say what you will about Ben Simmons' triple-doubles. Jimmy Butler was the best player on that team. I think you take that guy out, you take off their best shooter, now you're looking at, instead of what I thought, we saw in the playoffs, they took Toronto's in 7 games, and we're 2 bounces away from making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. They were the second best. They were the second best team. They were the second best team in the East last year, in my opinion. This year, I think that they moved down a couple of pegs. I think they do. They're not going to be able to score the basketball like they struggled last year to score the basketball with Jimmy Butler and JJ Redick. This year, they're going to struggle again, even more.
All right, well, let's transition to what the Celtics did because, of course, this is a Celtics podcast, guys. We got into all this Philly talk over here. All of a sudden, Philly's dominate 10, 15, 20 minutes of this podcast.
Blame Al.
Danny Ainge addressed the front court issues the last couple of days here, signing a Nets Cantor, using the mid-level exception. You also saw them go out and sign, or bring back, I should say, Daniel Tice. And then they went out and signed a French big man, Vincent Portier, to a 2-year contract. He's more of a defensive-minded big as opposed to someone like a Nets Cantor. Of course, one guy hasn't proven himself much in the NBA, or at all, I should say. The other one has. Joel, where do you fall in this conversation of the sense that the Celtics are not going to be the best defensive team, or at least the defensive team that they were last year? And what kind of problem does that pose for this team that's trying to remain one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference?
Well, I mean, considering the money that they had to spend, which wasn't much, I think they made out the best that they could, given the situation. I know Sean is upset that DeMarcus Cousins is not in green.
Hey, we're not there yet. We're not closing the book on that.
But Danny Ainge is not a huge fan of DeMarcus Cousins. If he was, he would have been in green years ago. And you're right. I guess the door isn't closed, so to speak, because no one is barking or knocking at DeMarcus Cousins' door right now. So I mean, the Celtics could just eventually just be like, you know what? Let's give him the veteran minimum and let's give a shot with this guy. But Sean, the last few weeks has been trying to compare his plan, which is kind of falling apart. Well, actually, no, it's falling apart. And the San Antonio Spurs. And San Antonio Spurs. We'll get to that in a sec. Let me make my point. And the San Antonio Spurs. What did the San Antonio Spurs do better than any other team in the NBA?
Found those Euro stars.
Exactly. They go out and they scout Euro players like nobody's business. And Danny's been trying to do this, kind of doing the same thing. He's struck out with Yabu. He's I mean, Tyson's an undersized, center. Who else? Is he? I mean, there's been a couple of guys. I mean, Zizic didn't really play or pan out. He was part of the Kyrie trade.
You say Yabu?
No, Zizic.
Yeah, I said Yabu.
Well, yeah, Yabu he's from overseas. Yeah, I remember when he got drafted, everyone was like, "Who? First round? Who's this dude?"
No,
Danny was like,
I remember in the middle.
Somebody.
I remember in the middle of his first year, or the only year where he was it was a drafted stash. And he showed up to one of the Celtics playoff games, and the place went insane, the TD Garden, because he just happened to be in the building. And I was like, oh, okay, so maybe there's something about this guy that I don't know about, but that's yet to be seen. So there goes that. So again, we don't know. At least I don't know about this Vincent signing right now, and what's that gonna do? You got Taco here, who's what 7'6".
Let's not talk about Taco, man. That's
what I mean. 7'6".
No, you got Robert Williams.
Talk about a draft. Talk about a draft and stash.
I'll talk about. I like this dude so far for what I've seen. Like his the hype around this guy, and it's not like crazy hype. But Grant Williams, and I know again he's another undersized dude, but I feel like maybe he can make a difference and come in there and offensively more polished than Robert Williams, because everyone I feel like. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's Time Lords. He's going to shine this year because it's kind of thin in the front court." But I still think he still needs, no pun intended, but he still needs some more time to get to where he's supposed to be at. So it's the young guys. It's up to the young guys to come and kind of step in there and make a difference, so to speak. And with Cantor, Cantor's a double guy. I see a lot of backlash because of the signing, but he wasn't supposed to be available at fucking $5 million a season. He could have gone somewhere else and gotten a lot, double that for what he's done in his 8 years in the league. So for him to choose to come to Boston, I know he only has 6 minutes to make the decision to stay in Portland or go elsewhere. So he chose wisely. But I think Cantor is gonna continue his double, performances that he's known for. So there's that. No one's gonna replace Al Horford, obviously. I mean, I don't even think you can even find like a Baines type of like dirty nose, getting in there and doing the nitty gritty things as well.
You may not have the intangibles to replace Al Horford with Cantor, but you'll get the numbers.
Yeah,
you'll get the same. You'll get the same stats.
I'm not gonna get the same stats. Get out of here, man.
What?
Al Horford would stuff the stat sheet in every statistical category.
Okay.
And as Cantor's not going to
talk about points and rebounds.
And as Cantor's not going to dish out 8 or 7 assists.
Points and rebounds. Points and rebounds. Fine. Points and rebounds.
But,
but for a big man, that's what you normally expect from your big man.
He's not going to shoot 38% from behind the arc. Like, he's not. No.
Are you crying? Are you crying over there?
He's in the paint, man. He's in the paint.
Jesus.
I can't believe you just said that right now.
Joel, Sway needs a minute, man.
He's going to be the same stats as Al Horford? Are you crazy?
Yeah, he will. He'll put the same points and rebounds. He'll put more points and rebounds up than Al Horford did.
Oh, so he's going to put up 16, 17 points. If that happens, then this team is in serious trouble.
What did Al average last year?
15 points.
All right, so he'll put up
or
15.
14,
He'll put
whatever.
up 15 and 9.
Okay, all right. Anyways, moving on. Joel, you didn't get a chance to react to the Kemba Walker news, so we're going to give you the floor here with that. What does this signing mean for the Boston Celtics? This is a signing that Danny Ainge was primary target heading into free agency. We heard rumblings, a week before the start of free agency or a few days before. And before the actual start, it was pretty much seemed like it was set in stone in terms of all the reports saying that he had already called Charlotte, said he was committed to the Celtics. Then after Sunday came out the Players Tribune article. He said his goodbyes, said his thank yous to the Charlotte organization, and then got right to business in the sense of giving the Boston Celtics fans what they wanted to hear in the sense of saying, I'm your guy, I'm the leader, this is my time, and this is going to be a fun era in Boston. What's your take on it, and what's your reaction to seeing Kemba Walker in green and white?
When the initial reports or the rumblings, so to speak, came out of that the Celtics were in the running for like Kemba Walker to come to Boston, I was thinking, how much of this is really true? Because I just figured he was a loyal guy and he really did want to stay in Charlotte, but Charlotte really lowballed him because they could have offered at least like a good
$190 million. They could offer $190 million.
Yeah, 190, but he was willing to take like 175, and they wouldn't go above like 160. So he's like, what the fuck? Like I could imagine him thinking, like, first of all, you guys could offer me the Supermax, which is over 200 mil.
220.
And I was willing to take like 175, and you're like, nah, 160. That's our final offer. So he's like, I can take 20 less mil to go to a winning franchise. Now, I get it. They've only won one championship for the Celtics in over a decade, but still, like, this is a storied franchise. And it was a no-brainer for him to not even consider going anywhere else except for the Celtics. He really did want to stay in Charlotte, so Charlotte pretty much forced him out, which was stupid. But anyways, that aside, he comes here. He gets a fresh start, so to speak. But at the same time, I'm gonna bring back the Sean's plan kind of failing here, because I feel like the Celtics don't trust Jason Tatum 100% to be the number one guy. So they saw an opportunity to get an all-star and someone that's let's face it, he's pretty close to Kyrie as you can get, talent-wise, without the headaches. But at the same time, he can help the young guys develop and make another run in the East in the playoffs. And, depending on what Kawhi Leonard does, I think it puts the Celtics right there in, at least top 3, top 4 in the East again. That's just me.
How do you compare that? That's a stretch to compare Kemba being signed to the organizational distrust to Jason Tatum. How the hell did you even get there? Because
your plan was to have Terry Rozier run the point. And they were like, no, we don't. If we have an opportunity to get another superstar, why not?
Listen,
hold
on. Let's stop right there, because Sean's plan pretty much got blown up from my original prediction when Al Horford decided to weasel his way out of Boston.
Exactly. So then when
hold on though, but
Hold on.
it's
I know
the
you're
same.
not-
But it's the same type of thing. You're bringing in. You can't. Hold on. No. You hold on.
Hold on.
You can't bring in. This is my fucking plan, man. All right.
No,
You
it's not
can't-
your plan. This is not your plan.
You can't bring in. You can't expect Tatum to win with no one else.
You have to admit that they could have used that money and saved it
And done
to
what?
either give your boy an extension next season, or even Jason.
They can still do that.
Or even Jaylen Brown. What?
They can still do that. They can still sign Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. They'll be fine. They're their own free agents. They'll fit under the cap. They'll be fine.
Then still want another superstar because
Right,
there
because
isn't a
they
superstar on this team.
They lost Al. So you can't expect in an NBA where you have to have 3 legit players to pretty much compete nowadays. You can't expect them to just be like, "Oh, we lost Kyrie and Al Horford." Yeah, go ahead, Jason. That's year 3. Go ahead. Take us to the promised land. You still need to put pieces around Jason Tatum, which I think is what they're doing. This to me tells me that
This is not Jason Tatum's team. This is not Jason Tatum's team, bro. This is Kemba Walker's team.
No, this is
and Jason Tatum. If Jason Tatum would be lucky if he plays the way he's supposed to play in year 3 to be their second guy after Kemba Walker.
All right, so you know what? I'll even give that to you, but maybe that's for a year. But by next year, by the second
We're not
year,
talking about like year. We're not talking about year 2 or 3 of your supposed plan. I'm talking about this season coming up.
This season it's going to be Jason Tatum's team. Like everything around this team is building around Tatum to lead this team in the future, which is exactly what I wanted them to do. So like, I don't really care about the Sean's plan thing. Like, yeah, it would have been nice if I predicted it perfectly, but that was fucking, impossible to do.
So you're essentially just subbing out Al Horford and putting Kemba Walker.
And putting Kemba Walker, it's another max guy, and then you build it around. Like you're not the thing is, Joel. Let's remember here. Let's go over this. What are the 2 biggest pieces of Sean's plan? Brad Stevens and Jason Tatum. So I love the Kemba signing. I think it makes up for a huge gap. You don't have to pay Rozier now. You don't have you bring in another max guy now that Horford's gone. You're able to bring in a couple other pieces here. You build with young guys with a solid core. You're right back where you need to be.
Okay, so let me ask you this: what if Kemba Walker got offered what he was supposed to get offered in Charlotte? Who else were the Celtics going to go after?
Well, I think the Celtics.
You didn't want Vucevic, did you?
No, Celtics would have been fucked. Celtics would have been fucked. Al would have fucked the Celtics over because then you are looking at a 4 to 5 year rebuild. I think because it's not gonna. It wouldn't impede Tatum. It wouldn't impede Brown. It wouldn't do anything like that. But if Al leaves, Kemba stays in Charlotte. Boston.
Kemba stays in Charlotte, and then it was Terry Rozier that was going to get signed. You would have been okay with that, Terry Rozier?
I know.
Jason Tatum.
What I'm saying is that team would have been scrappy, good, okay, not going to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals or anything like that because you lose Al Horford. But what it really would hurt is Boston's image across the league. So when you are trying to build pieces around Tatum, now you're looking at a place where Kyrie and Horford left and they couldn't get a free agent, right? That kills everything you're going to be trying to build in the future. So smart move by Danny. It works. They're keeping their young core. They're going to be competitive. I think that's the best thing that you could offer. That's the best.
And I completely agree with that. But at the same time, they had to get someone like Kemba Walker because they weren't gonna. Jason Tatum is not ready to run this squad like you think he is now.
No, I think he's gonna. Like I told Sway earlier, he's gonna be a top 10 player in the Eastern Conference this year. He's gonna be an All-Star. He's gonna make that year 3 leap. Like I am strong. I am 100% confident in that.
I mean, like I said, man, if he's going to be that star, this is the year. You look at what Paul Pierce did in year 3. That was the year that, quote unquote, snubbed from the All-Star team. Quote from Shaquille O'Neal, he's the motherfucking truth. This is the reason why he got that nickname. Year 3 was the year that Kobe Bryant became a 20-point scorer. That's the year where perennial all-stars or superstars, if you will, make that leap into 20-point territory, perennial all-star, start. The beginning of being a perennial all-star begins.
They will either get snubbed year 3 or make the all-star team.
Right. And if they do get snubbed, it's the following year where they're an all-star for good.
And you know what I could say? Like, just imagine us growing up watching Paul Pierce in year 3 with this supporting cast. Imagine that. Imagine if
instead of having Brian Stith.
And Vitaly Potapenko was a rookie. I don't even know who the hell was on that team.
Who's on that 01 team?
Twan was still there. Twan was still there.
Who was in 01? Yeah, it was.
That was before they made that trade.
This is before 02. This is before they made the playoffs.
This was before Tony Duggan running Rogers.
This is the final year of Rick Pitino we're talking about. So it was a very different situation going on. But
I'm just saying, if you had that type of supporting cast around Pierce that early on in his career, I mean, I don't want to compare Jason Tatum to Paul Pierce because that's
well, I just mean,
but I get the career
a perennial
arc, right?
all-star in general. Like this is when they make that leap.
But I just think, like, looking at that, like that would we would look back and say that would have been awesome, and that's what we're going into right now. You have a budding superstar, you have 2 perennial all-stars. Dwight Hayward, well, was a perennial.
I think he's the most important player on this team right now.
And I think you brought in some good pieces, and you have a bunch of young guys. Like, I think the way this roster is built, not only does it set you up for success this year, but also success going forward for a very long time, which I think is exactly what I was hoping for. So if I knew Kemba was going to be available, I probably would have, if we had known Al Horford was going to leave and. By the way, you guys are giving Al a complete pass on this. Like, just explain that to me. Explain that to me.
Really,
yeah,
really, yo,
yeah.
You still don't realize. So I brought this up during the NBA draft during our live broadcast.
No. You brought this up before that. I think it was a week before this. But go ahead. I know what you're about to say.
No, it was during the thing. It was during the NBA draft.
It really doesn't matter. But what'd you bring up?
I brought up that because that was the same. It was like the day before that
he opted
news
out,
that broke that he was out. That he was like, yeah, no. And I said, well, maybe it has nothing to do with money. Maybe the fact that he didn't want to play with the young guys because he was part of that core that made it through to the Eastern Conference Finals the year before. He was a pretty important player around Terry, Brown, and Tatum, and maybe it's just like I'm not down. I'm not down with trying to, be with these young guys if there's no other, second superstar that's gonna come in here. So I'm giving him a pass because he's the ultimate professional. He could have been while everybody was focused on what Kyrie's gonna do next year. What everyone just assumed. Oh yeah, Horford's just gonna take less money, rework his deal. And that's gonna be that's done with. But he's like, no, when you got a team like Philadelphia or any other finals contender that's coming to you and offer you $97 million guaranteed for 4 seasons at age 33, that's kind of hard to fucking walk away from.
Yeah, but see, there was the week or 2 before that. You and I were both saying, don't be shocked if Al's not all in on this team because all of a sudden they're not a championship contender. I mean, that was. Exactly. Everyone forgets what that press conference was about when he was introduced as a member of the Boston Celtics. From the very beginning, Al Horford said, I'm making this decision because I see this team going in the right direction in the sense of competing for an NBA title.
You're right. We did that conversation.
Whether this team pans out in the next couple of years in the sense of competing for a trip to the Eastern Conference Finals is one thing that you can argue about. But championship level, this team isn't there. So I'm not faulting Al for wanting out because Al Horford's been chasing a ring ever since he came to Boston, and this isn't what he signed up for.
Yeah, but, I mean, realistically, too, though, like, when Al came to Boston, they weren't a championship contender.
They weren't, but he knew that, A, they had cap space, and B, whether they got Kevin Durant or not, I think Al Horford saw the direction in this team in the sense that they had cap space, they had the draft picks, and they had Isaiah Thomas. I mean, I think those 3 were the most attractive parts of signing with the Celtics.
Yeah, and plus the summer after he came was going to be a big free agency year, and the Celtics were all in on at least one key signing, and Horford would have helped to get that guy, which happened to be Gordon Hayward prior to his injury.
Do you think that Al left because Danny never traded any of his assets?
No, I think a big part of it was just the overall atmosphere, and then just I don't know. It's just like the air just got lit out of the room with all this stuff towards at the end of after the season ended, and of course you got this dude Kyrie, all the rumblings are he's out, he's not coming back. Everyone's thinking that he's keeping the Celtics in the dark, but apparently, he was talking to Danny the whole time, whatever. So, Horford is probably just thinking like, yo, if this is what's gonna happen, if Terry Rozier is gonna run this squad after all the things he said about the organization, and they're gonna have to draft 3 rookies, and Morrison's coming back, and so he's just like, I gotta really consider like all my options here.
And Philly though,
team,
come on, man, I don't know.
Well, I mean, like, where else was he gonna go? Sacramento, Dallas, like these are
yeah. Plus, you got to remember too. A lot of the times with these free agents, it's what have you done lately, right? Exactly. He saw what happened in the playoffs. Name a team that was closer to beating the Toronto Raptors than the Philadelphia 76ers.
Oh, no team was, but you guys didn't want to call him a championship contender last year. But now all of a sudden Al Horford's there. They're a fucking championship contender team.
He makes the difference. Have you not been watching Al Horford? Are you that mad at him right now that you just forgot the last 3 seasons of what he did, especially in the playoffs, especially especially the season where you thought that the team was so much better without Kyrie Irving, and those 19 games in the playoffs. Al Horford was a part of that big time.
Sure.
They don't beat Philly without him. They don't beat Milwaukee without Al Horford.
Yeah, man. Don't worry, Joel. I was getting on him before we got on the phone with you, man. He's gonna fall in that group of Celtics, those hypocrite Celtics who are gonna be shitting on Al Horford next season.
I'm not shitting
the same ones that were singing his praises the last 3 years.
I'm not shitting on Al. Al is Al, and Al will be fine down there. But
right,
that team got worse because you took away that would be like. You can't take away Jimmy Butler from that team,
bro,
and replace him with Al Horford and think you're going to get the same result or a better result.
Right,
that doesn't make sense. You add Al Horford to a team with Jimmy Butler, then we're talking. Then they're improved.
All right, 2 things. When did you become this huge fucking Jimmy Butler guy that all of a sudden, no matter where he goes, you're like, oh, yeah, that team's going to be all right with him? Yo, bro, Jimmy Butler is probably on that Kyrie level of thinking, like, oh, it's me or it's nobody else. That's his fucking attitude ever since the last couple of years in Chicago. He goes to Minnesota, fucks that team up. He comes to Philly, almost fucks this team up because, if it wasn't the fact that he was injured for most of the time, he probably would have messed up the chemistry even more than it got kind of messed up there.
You're making a stretch here, but go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, all right, yeah, everything I say is a stretch, right? My second point is, every championship contender, every team in general needs someone like Al Horford. So if he thought that he couldn't, do it here anymore in Boston, so why not at 33 still go out and try to fucking at least make it to the finals? Can he make it to the finals at least? He can still make it to the finals. It's whatever.
Squad, man, that's gonna be tough. People, unless they get a scorer, they need a scorer. If that team has a scorer, then I'm right there with you guys. I'm just saying that they got rid of most of their scoring and added Al Horford. That's a tough trade. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not shitting on Al Horford. I don't know where this is coming from. Yeah, I'm pissed he went to Philly.
You just called him a weasel a little while ago. He weaseled his way out of Boston because he's not part of your plan anymore.
He did. He weaseled his way out of Boston.
He didn't weasel his way out of Boston. Weaseling his way out of Boston would have been like, oh yeah, I'm staying in Boston. I'm staying in Boston. Then just leave. He didn't say anything. Everyone just assumed he was going to do that.
Everything I heard from Al, after the end of the season, he said he wanted to stay in Boston. And that this was his number one priority, is making sure it worked. He legitimately said that, and I think it says something to go to we're gonna crap on Kyrie, and we're gonna crap on Kyrie because Kyrie deserves it 100%, right? But you can't. I think it's a little bit call me the hypocrite Al fan. I think Al's gonna be fine and do his thing, but. I mean, we get on players who leave and go to rivals all the time.
All right, so let me ask you this.
We're just gonna let Al pass because he decided, yeah, you know what? I don't wanna play here. There's like 7 teams that are gonna give me a lot of money, but I'm gonna go to a rival of my team.
Okay, so let me ask you this: the money that he's getting from Philly, you would have been okay with that if he stayed with the Celtics?
No, I'd rather have Kemba.
No, I'm just saying though. Like, no, Kemba aside. Forget maybe before we even, thought the Celtics could get Kemba, and they were like, all right, Kyrie's gone. All right, we're gonna make sure that Al Horford comes back, and probably Terry's gonna be. So at 100 and what is it, 112? I mean, 97 is guaranteed, but I don't know the rest of it.
Let's call it 100. Let's call it 25
All
million.
right, 100 mil. You would have been all right with him coming back for 100 mil?
I think, yeah, because that would have given you about $6 million extra in cap space, and at the time, we were wondering where they were going to fill out the roster. They would have had, you've had to re-sign Terry and use that extra cap space that I would have given you. I mean, I don't know. It wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world. I think.
All right.
I would have been.
I would have been fine with it. I would have been fine with it.
I would have been cool with it too.
There's a lot of people that. There's a lot of people that said that are on the fine, fuck it, bye Al. I'm not paying you.
I'm not saying that. Like that's okay. Maybe I called him a weasel. Maybe I should have called him.
He said he weaseled his way out.
I didn't call him a weasel.
That's not calling somebody a weasel.
Okay, good. But it's like if we're gonna be so hard on Kyrie, we can like Al, but still be pissed that he went to a fucking rival of the Celtics.
I'm not happy about it, but at the same time, I understand it. I'm not happy. I'm not like, oh.
But
I'm gonna root for the fucking Sixers.
Well, I also don't think that all of a sudden we have to say that they're a championship contender because they lost their two best scorers and had a guy like Al Horford who's age 32.
When it comes to the East, there are two. Again, depending on what Kawhi Leonard's going to do, there's 2 or 3 teams in the East that can legitimately make it to the finals, and I think Philly's one of them. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Philly, Milwaukee, and Toronto. I don't think you can put Boston.
That's what I'm saying. If
you can't put Boston in that
Toronto
conversation. No,
yeah, they are.
They're not in that conversation.
Yes, they are.
If Toronto loses Kawhi, then it's Philly and Milwaukee. That's it. It's a 2-team battle. That's all it is.
Boston is going to have a better team than Philly this year, hands down. I guarantee that.
All right. I mean, I can't believe that just losing Jimmy Butler makes them not a finals contender.
And Redick.
Oh wow, Redick. Okay, forgot about him.
All right, Joel, don't get eaten by a bear.
We still got 4 more. We got 4 more days. Yeah, we got a few more days left over there.
I got a few more. I got a few more days. The good thing is there's no rain because the first couple of days there was rain. There was one. The second day I was here, torrential downpours, like a hurricane winds. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna just pack up and get the fuck out of here. But I stuck it out.
He just bails on day one.
Yeah, I stuck it out, and I made sure my tent was in the ground, so it's not gonna move anywhere. So far it's been good, and the rest of the week no more rain, so I'm good. I'm happy.
You're in the clear.
I'm in the clear. I'm in the freaking clear.
All right, bro. Have a great 4th of July, man. We'll get you back in here next week, and we'll carry on this conversation, man.
All right, man. Happy 4th of July to everyone out there, and make sure you fucking go to collegesheet.com for all your news.
Still doing plugs.
Oh, hey, wait, Joel, before you go.
Yeah.
All right. I say we scrap the Causeway Street T-shirt ideas, and we make fuck Kyrie T-shirts instead. What do you think?
Nah, yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
I knew you'd be the fucking potty pooper in this whole thing, man.
I'm not on that. I'm not on that. Look. I'll tell you this. And then this will be off the record. I'll tell you my 2 cents about this whole shit, right? You know how I feel about I'm not one of those that blames Kyrie 100%. Yeah, he has some of the blame and the blame pie. But the only thing I'm pissed about is the fact that he never considered staying here. That's all I'm pissed about. You know what I'm saying? So I at the end of the day, I feel like him and after realizing that the Nets are about to fucking sign both these dudes, KD. This could have been a plan from since they were playing USA basketball back in 2016. The same way that LeBron, Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade planned this like 3 years in advance. They could have been doing the same thing. So for all I know,
yeah, they did.
This was just waiting. This was just waiting to happen. 3 years in advance.
Yeah,
whatever.
All right,
but
so,
Kemba,
I'm gonna stop.
Kemba coming here. I'm shocked that that the Celtics were even in that running. But if Charlotte didn't treat him like shit once again, Danny Ainge swoops in when a superstar gets treated like crap and just wants out, and he's like, oh well, we come over here. So good for him for pulling that off.
All right, man. I'm going to print those T-shirts. I'll keep the profits to myself.
All right, Joel. We'll see you next week, man.
All right, fellas. Be well.
All right. We're up out of here. That's it. Enough debating.
There's been a lot of hostility today on the podcast.
I mean, today, last episode. Man,
I don't know what's going on, man.
You can't get along with anybody, Sean.
I don't know why everyone's so mad at me.
We were getting along nicely before Joel got on the phone.
Yeah, man.
We were getting along nicely before Tim brought up
Marcus Smart and Patrick
and
Beverly.
Patrick Beverly. And
Jesus.
all of a sudden, you guys are shouting at each other. And,
Yeah, man, I gotta get off this. This is like 2 straight episodes, man.
nah, I like it. Keep it going.
All right.